My name is Elizabeth Warren, and I'm the chair of the Congressional Oversight panel. I'm not here today for my regular monthly oversight report. This is a special report. In addition to doing oversight, Congress also asked our group to give them some recommendations about reforming the nation's financial system. That may sound boring, a little like a term paper, but don't hit the stop button yet. We're at a crucial moment in our history. The decisions that we make during the next few months about the rules for our financial system will determine the success of our economy and the direction of our country for about the next 50 years. So don't tune out. This is one debate that you have a big stake in, and you should know what's going on. Think about it this way. In 1792, while George Washington was president, the nation suffered a severe panic that froze credit and nearly brought our young country to its knees. Over the next 140 years, financial crises struck on a regular basis, about every 15 to 20 years. But as we emerged from the Great Depression, the crises stopped. It just stopped. For 50 years, the new financial regulations passed under FDR protected our economic system from the devastating outbreaks of a financial crisis. We had fairly steady financial growth, a rising standard of living, and an expanding middle class. But after half a century without a financial crisis, a lot of people started to think that regulation was just a burden. The world was changing, lots of new financial devices were being developed, lots of money was pouring in. Instead of updating our regulations to match these changes, we turned in a different direction. In the 1980s, a wave of deregulation took hold. Almost immediately, we began to see the impact of this policy change on the financial system. In the late 1980s, the savings and loan crisis hit, and it was followed by near crises in 1998 and again in 2002. We kept deregulating, and now we're in the worst crisis since the Great Depression. We have forgotten our history lesson. Without the right regulations, markets push toward boom and bust. If done effectively, regulation can stop that. Instead of promoting speculation and financial gambling and permitting swindles and fraud, good regulation has the power to channel investment into productive economic activity, to make markets safer, and to prevent these kinds of financial meltdowns. Why does regulation matter? Well, try this. If we had had better regulation in just one of three areas, just one, we could have largely prevented the mess we're in today. First, if we'd had even the most basic consumer protection rules in place, we would have stopped high-risk mortgage craze before it began. Anyone who's ever signed a stack of mortgage papers without understanding all the terms can appreciate that the game isn't designed to make it clear what's going on. Without those bad loans, there would have been no toxic assets to spread throughout the financial system. The system itself was pretty solid. Some basic fairness in consumer regulation would have protected both families and the rest of the economy. Second, if the credit rating agencies that gave AAA ratings to all those toxic assets had been better supervised, then the toxic assets would never have spread around the way they did. Without AAA ratings, they couldn't have been bought up by banks and pension funds and cities and others that were looking for safe investments. The ratings problem is just one place where better transparency would have made sure that everyone had access to useful, accurate information and could avoid the bad stuff. Third, we have now all learned about companies that are too big to fail. Well, too big to fail should also mean too big not to be regulated. If a few companies had speculated in crazy mortgages or oil wells or tulip bulbs, we could let them go, let them go bankrupt if they weren't tied to too many other companies. But once their failure could take down many other businesses, the government felt like it had to step in. This is a basic problem in risk management. By regulating the too big to fail before they fail, we can keep a check on their financial stability, and that's a lot better than asking taxpayers to clean up the mess after the fact. The main lesson from all of this is that we can do better. The report addresses 8 specific areas of reform that will help us avoid another crisis down the road. We hit 3 areas we just discussed: better regulation of the way loans are made to consumers, serious regulation of credit rating agencies, and better management of too big to fail businesses. We have also made recommendations in 5 other areas: limiting excessive leverage in our banks by enforcing stricter capital requirements, increasing supervision of derivatives and off-balance sheet entities that have created a shadow financial system, changing executive pay structures to discourage excessive risk-taking, working with other countries to establish basic rules that will apply to the companies doing business around the globe, and finally, planning now for the next crisis by creating a council of outside experts who are responsible for working out war games, economic war games, just like the military uses war games to test itself to be ready for the next threat. This is a big task. Okay, it's a huge task. But don't miss the central message. We can fix this problem. With modern regulation, smart regulation, we can dramatically reduce the risk of crisis and swindles while we preserve the benefits of a vibrant financial system. Americans have paid dearly for this latest crisis. Lost jobs, failed businesses, foreclosed homes, and sharply cut retirement savings have touched people all across this country. Now every citizen, even the most prudent, is called on to help pay off trillions of dollars that our government is spending to try to fix this mess. The costs of regulatory failure and the urgency of changing the rules are both clear. This matters to you, to me, and to all of America.